was a groundbreaking ceremony for a new factory.
Did she mention seeing anyone who was sick? Anyone on a plane at the airport?
No, she said she was jet lagged.
Hi, welcome to What the Flick. I do hope you washed your hands before you clicked on this review, because we're clean people here. I know, we need Purell on set, we do. I am Christy Lemire, this is Matt Ashley, that is Alonso Duralde. We're talking about Contagion, in case you couldn't figure that out. There are germs, and they're everywhere. Are you aware of that? Like, if you weren't already OCD, this would make you that way.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Anyway, so
there's a fever.
Tell us what it's about.
Well, you always expected it was going to happen, and now it finally does. Gwyneth Paltrow destroys the world. No, but she is.
She did that in duets, didn't she?
Yeah, in a way.
And Country Strong.
She is at the center of what becomes a worldwide flu epidemic, and we see governments try to keep up with what's going on, and day-to-day people sort of caught up in the misery and horror and panic and whatnot. Steven Soderbergh kind of follows this story through multiple eyes. You've got Matt Damon, who plays Gwyneth Paltrow's husband. Jude Law is a blogger. Lawrence Fishburne and Kate Winslet work for the CDC, and Marion Cotillard works for the World Health Organization, and just all the things that can go wrong.
Unfortunately, she did die.
Right. Can I go talk to her?
Mr. Amoff, your wife is dead.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
What happened to her? What happened to her?
Is there any way someone could weaponize the bird flu? Is that what we're looking at?
Someone doesn't have to weaponize the bird flu. The birds are doing that.
On day one, there were 2 people, and then 4, and then 16. In 3 months, it's 1 billion. That's where we're headed.
They're calling out the National Guard. They're moving the president underground. People will panic.
Get away!
It will tip over.
The truth is being kept from the world.
Cook your samples, destroy everything.
It's figuring us out faster than we're figuring it out.
It's mutating.
Okay, so yeah, it's very Soderberghian in that we have these various strands of people's lives intertwining, but I loved the tone of this. Like, I loved the cool precision of it. You think you have this, stellar cast. It's going to be some sort of 70s style disaster movie, but there's no hysteria, and I like just the quiet of it, which makes the emotional moments pop that much more.
That actually took away from the emotional moments for me. I found that the movie was a little too clinical for me.
Okay.
Like, I get the horror we're supposed to feel, but at the beginning, there's all these lingering shots of people picking things up and touching doorknobs.
I like that.
And after a couple minutes of that, I'm like, okay, I got it. We should be washing our hands.
We're dirty people. Cap it up.
But
doesn't it make you think, like, okay, you hang your credit card to somebody, or you press an elevator button? I mean, not to be all anal and freaky about it, but it makes
I
you
like
think.
to think that I'm building up my immune system.
But you know what? In olden times, people used to eat dirt. We'll live. I'm not that worried about it.
The hardiest of us will survive. Well, it's funny because, on your show, you guys are running those old sneak previews, and they just did a thing about the movies that changed the movies, and there was a whole section about Airport and how the 70s disaster movies and how there were so many things going wrong in the 70s politically and environmentally that it was a vicarious way to sort of experience, your worst nightmare without actually being in it. And I think this movie really touches those buttons. I mean, yeah, it's not an Irwin Allen movie. No one's, right. But it is kind of this sort of sick pleasure of seeing how exactly this would play out.
But this feels real. This could happen.
No, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, but without having to be in the middle of it, you get to sort of observe, like, how would the media respond? What would the government do? What would, how would the pharmacological, companies try to take advantage of the situation and all that kind of stuff. I think maybe it was a little too dispassionate at times. I'm kind of with Matt on that one.
That's what I feel.
I mean, not that I wanted, earthquake-style hysteria, but just like the characters almost purely exist to do their function in the plot, and it's not so much about who they are as people, and so it's hard to get involved with what happens to them when they're so very functionary. But it looks great. I love the score. It's very chilling, and I think it kind of gets it.
It's
I
found it more dispering than horrifying.
Yeah, and it feels like it gets it right. I'm not like an epidemiologist. I don't know, but it played.
Right.
It rang true.
Right, and even the moments where you have the obligatory looting and rioting or whatever, even that's never hysterical. That feels in this context like a very understandable reaction to an incomprehensible situation. Like, of course you're going to go and you're going to loot Whole
Right.
Foods and get all the organic kale that you can.
Right.
Of course you're going to do that, right?
You know, I guess what was missing for me was, you know, I, for instance, was never feeling the grief that we were expecting out of Matt Damon, for instance.
Well,
you know,
the deaths are very
that's-
matter of fact.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I felt
But he
like.
does get that moment at the end, though.
Yeah, he does, but I felt like at that
With his
point.
daughter, you mean?
With the when he finds the camera, you know.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. The movie never felt quite as horrifying as I felt like it wanted me to feel. And that was my biggest problem. I mean, I thought it's good. I think it's good. And I will say, and this is going to sound like a weird tangent, but as people who've been following and are fans of World War Z, and which is a book about a zombie outbreak, but it's more about how the world and how places like the WHO and the CDC and political organizations deal with an outbreak. It just happens to be about zombies. As that movie is in development, everybody's on the web is really upset because it seems like they're just making it into a straight up zombie movie, where Max Brooks' book is really about the world's reaction to epidemics. I actually feel like this is the movie that World War Z should be and won't be. So if you're a fan of that book, this is the movie.
It
to
also
see.
reminded me of how before Outbreak we were supposed to get a movie of Crisis in the Hot Zone, that book about the people studying the
Ebola.
viruses, the Ebola virus,
Yeah.
which I read like the New Yorker story that it was based on, which was one of those long ass New York stories, but it was super suspenseful, really riveting.
And the Hot Zone's a great book.
Yeah, and so this movie kind of, especially the lab scenes, were giving me that like same charge of, oh God, they got the stuff in the dish and it's gonna kill everyone, you know.
But speaking of the lab scene, I think we talk about the big name stars like Marion Cotillard and Matt Damon and Gwyneth Paltrow. Is it Jennifer Ely?
Ely, yeah.
She's amazing. She pretty much steals this whole thing as Lawrence Fishburne's right-hand woman who's racing to find the vaccine. There's very much like a young Meryl Streep kind of quality to her.
She's awesome
very
because
confident,
I
very
never
intense.
remember her from movie to movie, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because
Right, she
it's-
disappears into a movie.
Yeah, she is these characters, and later I go, oh, her, oh, and she was in all these other things that I liked
She's
her
great
in,
in this.
but it's never like, star presence, so that's really cool.
But it should be, because she steals this from much bigger names.
Yeah, no. She's a great actress, but I think she's like Justin Theroux before he became a screenwriter, had this really great way of sort of immersing himself into whatever he was playing, so you didn't necessarily pick up on, oh, it's him, from movie to movie. But I think the big names do well here, Paltrow included. I think everybody really kind of comes on, does their bit, and goes off. You've got,
Kate Winslet's right in it.
you've got Bryan Cranston and Enrico Colantoni.
And John Hawkes in like two scenes.
Yes.
We have great character actors in small roles.
Right.
I kind of feel like because the cast is so huge, and again, Soderbergh knows how to do this sort of huge cast thing with traffic and whatnot, but I feel like he loses people sometimes. So like the Marion Cotillard character is kind of gone for big chunks, and then I feel like her plot line is a bit unsatisfying.
Yeah,
it's a little wobbly. That's one of the wobblier parts of the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although, it's interesting. Soderbergh was saying in a recent interview that one of the ways he can get the big cast in a movie like this is because everybody's only got like 6 or 7 days to shoot. So it's like shooting a short film.
So it's
for
like
all
the
of them.
Valentine's Day of virus movies.
Exactly.
Okay, let's do numbers. Go first, please.
6. I thought it could have been a lot scarier, but it's okay.
Okay.
6.9.
I'm saying 7, which puts us around 6.6. This is where in the 70s?
It's in the mid 70s on the tomato meter. So, it's definitely a recommendation.
Okay, it's actually a decent week. Have a good week. See you later, guys. Bye.